right, let's do this. Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, back to another edition of the Uber Farmer Cigar Garage Talk Special Edition. How y'all doing? I'm doing interesting. We are currently on Baby Watch. This special edition video, this one's coming out before I'm going to show off where this came from. The Freestyle Live. More to come on that. Watch on Monday. But first off, happy Ash Wednesday, ladies and gentlemen. I'm going to do everything in my power I can to get this video out tomorrow. I am, though, celebrating this on Fat Tuesday, which is why I have alcohol, cigars. I was going to bring some chocolate down to some of the little treats that I had, but I forgot. So, yes, we're going to talk about Ash Wednesday, talk about Lent, the joyous season where we celebrate, where we fast and do asceticisms in preparation for the resurrection of Jesus, the death and resurrection of Jesus. First, let's get too far into things. I'll update you about my the Uper Mama, or homeschooling mama, homeschooling mama. What are we smoking? What are we drinking? From Blackbird. This is kind of fun. This is one of their short runs. It's called the Wren. Cactus Wren. Cactus Wren. Interesting cigar. It's Maduro. Got some fun flavors going in there. I am, as you all know, huge fan of the Blackbird cigars. I love cigars that have good draw. And I have yet to have a single cigar from Blackbird that's had a rough draw. Every single one of them, good draws, good flavor. Absolutely love their cigars. Love them. We do have something kind of fun tonight. Some of you guys have probably seen this. This is the first time I have. The Puczki Day. So this is distilled with Michigan and Polish potato vodka with Hamtramck Puczkis. Distilled down in Detroit, Michigan. This is just kind of a fun. So what they do is they macerate. They take the Puczkis from the Hamtramck. What's the name of it? Let me give me 1 second here. The legendary New Place Bakery. So they get a bunch of their Puczkis, the raspberry Puczki, and what they do is they get a very strong vodka, one that's about, well, they said it's 99% pure neutral spirit. So there's no flavor from the vodka technically in this. They macerate the Puczkis, so they basically let the Puczkis sit in the alcohol, I'm guessing for at least a day. They bring it up to a nice medium temperature to really let those flavors combine, and then they distill it. You get to see what type of flavors come through. I know, very technical distilling talk. Hypothetically, I can do this myself. Sometimes it works, sometimes it doesn't. So let's give this a little bit of a try here. It's pretty good, not bad. You can definitely tell they use a neutral spirits. Neutral spirits will always have a bit of a bite on the back of your throat, which is okay. You can taste the raspberry. It says you should taste raspberry and wheat, like a bread flavor. I'm not really tasting the bread flavor. This is definitely one of those drinks, the second or third one you have, the flavor gets better. I personally think they should have made this one into a bit more of a liqueur. The ABV, I believe, is 44%. Let's take one little look here. Yeah, 80 proof. I think if they would have knocked that down with some sugar, so it's down to around, even a 38 or 35 proof. Because when you think of a Puczki, you think of sweet. I know I do, at least. I was never really a huge Puczki fan growing up. It was just once I met Uper Mama that I became a Puczki fan. Her family was really big into those. I'd never had one, actually, before I met her. But now I think of a very, very, very sweet donut. So it's good. Again, I'd prefer to actually mix some simple syrup in here maybe to give it a little sweet kick. But it's not bad. I'm going to drink it. So as I said, today is Fat Tuesday. So what does that mean for the Uper Farmer videos? Is all of a sudden we're going to go dry videos? I have done that in the past with no cigars. Not this year. But I am giving up drinking for Lent. Well, how can that be, can you say? So this is a Catholic thing. And for those of you who are going to just be totally horrified by what I'm about to say, I want you to know that I was in the exact same boat you were when I first learned this. I was always told that, when you pick something to give up for Lent, which I am giving up alcohol, and I'm giving up cigars, because I was starting to smoke a little bit more than one a week. Well, I always thought when you gave those up, you just gave them up. But I was in college, cooking for, we had a church group. One of the local, they had a missionary church on the campus, a Catholic missionary church. And I was really big into food and fellowship. I love cooking to this day. I loved cooking back then. Had the stars aligned a little bit different, I'd probably be a chef instead of went into paramedic. Because I do. I love food. I love cooking food. I love creating, feeding people is one of my most favorite things to do. So that first year, the priest kind of challenged me to do a food and fellowship on Wednesdays. And it just seemed to be my calling. I bought almost all the food every time. It just really was something I felt called to do. I did not have a lot of money. We did not eat like kings and queens. And people would donate food. I got donations of money constantly. One of the local churches would do a collection for us so we could make food. Luckily, I came from a big family. I know how to make that buck stretch. Well, Lent had kicked off. We'd all done our Lenten things. We had talked about Lent. We went to Mass and whatnot. Well, the priest came up to me. Now, a little secret here about Catholic priests. The vast majority of them cannot cook. There are very, very few who I've met who are good at cooking. A lot of that has to do when they're in seminary for 4 to 8 years. They have chefs that cook for them. They have catered food. They have, they want them to focus just on their studies. So it's not really a thing during their formative years to become really good chefs. Now some are. There are a few that are really good at cooking. Most I know are not. And the priest there at the Newman Center was not very good at cooking. He came to me and he said, all right, after Mass next week, I want you to make a breakfast. Or lunch. I want you to do a lunch. I want to do a food and fellowship. I'm going to do a special lecture, a special sermon after Mass. We're going to do some Bible studies. But I think everyone can do with some lunch. Okay, Father, that's not a problem. He actually gave me some money. Now, in my defense, I asked him, did he want anything special? He said, I love your cooking, so whatever you want to make, I will eat. Not a problem, not a problem. Well, I knew many of us during this Lenten season had given up sweets, so I forgo a dessert, which was great, saved me quite a bit of money. But the priest had actually, I knew he goes completely vegetarian the entirety of Lent. Does not eat a single piece of meat. And I didn't want to make a meat dish and kind of tempt him or make him think that he needs to eat meat because of me. So I was very cognizant, very aware of this. So I decided, you know what, it's not my specialty, not my forte, but I know enough vegetarian dishes. I can make a pretty mean meal, vegetarian meal. So I make this vegetarian meal, and the priest comes up to me and says, well, where's the meat? And I said, Father, I couldn't do that to you. I know you gave up, you're going vegetarian for Lent. So I made salads, I made potato dishes, I made some halushki. but I didn't buy any meat. And he was mad as hell, angry, pissed, yelling. I said, Father, I have no idea why are you so angry? I mean, I thought you'd be happy that I, am trying to help you. And he said, well, why on Sunday? He said, of course on Sunday I can have meat. I said, Father, it's Lent. I didn't think that's a thing. Well, his planned lecture was pushed off by a week so that he could have a new lecture where he actually explained that it is actually a Catholic tradition not to be beholden to your fast or your abstaining or your Lenten resolutions on Sunday. And I was like, I've never heard this before. And he looks at me and he says, okay, if you go from Ash Wednesday to Easter Sunday, how many days is that? Well, it's 40, right? He gets a little laughter and he says, count. Go to the calendar and count. Well, if any of you guys have been kind of pressed about this, it's actually about 46 days because Lent is 6 weeks long. And it so happens that the Sundays are worked into this schedule of 40 days so that, no, Lent does not last for 40 days. You fast, do your asceticisms, and do your resolutions for 40 days, but you get Sunday off because God does set aside Sundays for us so that we can relax. We don't have to work so hard. We can, take a break from our resolutions and just be with God, not be in a state of sacrifice and a state of whatever it is, penance or whatnot. We can just be with God. And that struck me. I'd never heard that before. 19 years of my life, I'd never heard that Sundays were a day of rest, which means that was a day you did not have to adhere so strongly to your Lenten resolutions. That amazed me. But he showed me Bible scriptures. We had a long talk. We talked about the traditions of the Catholic Church. And it made sense. He is right. Lent is not 40 days long if you truly go every day from Ash Wednesday to Easter Sunday. And so, yeah, there are built-in days. Actually, when you talk about the 40 days of Lent, there's 6 days built in there that we can take a break. We can relax. We can get to this point where we can set aside our resolutions, our dedications. So, long story short, all of that just to say that I am shooting my videos on Sunday. No, this was not planned. This is my wife's teaching schedule changed. My schedule kind of changed. I used to shoot these religiously. I shouldn't use that word. I used to shoot these routinely on Mondays, Monday night. I would shoot these videos because my wife worked Monday nights, so it was a nice time for me to get out of my garage. And my kids were usually in bed, but my wife's work schedule got shifted around at the college. So now, since she's not teaching, she's not working Mondays. So I kind of looked and I said, well, you know what? This is my time to relax. This is my time to kind of take it easy. On Sundays, we do take that day of rest. And that's the day we let our kids play video games and watch TV with almost no restriction. We do put some in there. We do stop them. And there's a couple of conditions. But for the most part, Sunday is our day of rest. And if I honestly, as I've been saying now for almost 3 years, can sit here and say that, these videos are my day of rest. These videos are for me to relax and rest and, have an hour and a half to 2 hours to myself. Well, they should just naturally fall on Sunday, shouldn't they? As I talked about in the video game, the being a video game father, I would play video games on Sunday. My kids play them, I'd play them too. Well, as a form of sacrifice to have these videos, to have this relaxation, the time I would be spent playing video games, I now shoot these videos. So, and this was about 3 months ago, I guess. I'd have to look at the tapes. About 3 months ago is when her schedule got shifted at the college to where now I do it on Sundays. So Sunday is the day of rest. So yes, there will be beer, there will be cigars. Now the caveat to that is you don't go nuts, right? On Sundays during Lent, you don't go crazy and have a big bender where you're drinking nonstop. But you can have your beer, you can have your cigar. You don't have to work out if that's your resolution goal. And I do like that. I think that's nice. One, it artificially gets you to look forward to Sunday for more reasons than just going to church, which I do look forward to going to church and getting communion, receiving the Holy Eucharist. I look forward to that. But having that day of rest and having it as almost an unnegotiable day of rest. This is not a time when we can, we're not going to rest this Sunday. No, we need as humans to be adamant that Sunday is our day of rest. Sunday is our day to relax and be with God. To not have to struggle, to not have to grind, as they say, to get that next dollar, to get that next project done. We were really made for rest. And Sunday was made for us to have that rest. So yes, on Sundays, I shoot these videos. Now, here's the caveat. If for some reason I can't shoot on Sunday, and I do have to shoot on Monday, the rules apply. I don't get an exemption just for these videos. The only time I can have a beer and a cigar is if it lands on a Sunday. So, and I'm good. I'm going to hold myself to that. As I've talked about, this was probably about at least a year or two ago. I did a program called Exodus 90 where men get together, they study the Bible, they do asceticisms, they do sacrifices, they do fasting. That's that whole cold shower thing, if you've ever heard about that. I absolutely love that. I enjoy that. Giving to God, giving up for God, praising Him. So I look forward to Lent. It is not a time that I shy away from, like, oh, it's Lent, I got to give something up. I revel in it. I know it's going to suck. I know, especially with the stress from this baby coming, I've been drinking way more than I should be. I've been smoking way more than I should be. I know this next week coming up is going to be absolute hell. It is going to be temptation. It's going to be second guessing. It's going to be a struggle to not have my customary drink after work. And I love it. That's great. I can't wait to send that suffering up to God and tell Him, here, take this, do what you will with it. I'll suffer for causes, probably for the health of my wife and child, my future child who's coming here very soon, apparently. My wife did tell me that although it's Fat Tuesday, these have to be limited because she's getting some weird contractions tonight. Awesome. Will I do a video if the kid is born? At some point, yeah. Yeah, I will. But yeah, it's to give up for God and to send your suffering, your struggles up to Him in the name of something, or just to the people in purgatory, or for God to use, is a powerful thing for any religious person to do. I mean, Jesus suffered and died on the cross for us. The least we can do is suffer for Him, for His people, for the people He deemed He had to suffer for. That's why I love doing asceticisms, doing, these giving up for God, because it really gives you a small, microscopic glimpse into what was paid for us. So I'm ready for it. I'm very excited to dedicate this. Everyone's like, well, you could have at any point, stopped drinking. cut back on smoking. Yeah, I could have. But the fact that it's in the name of a greater cause than me, this is what I want. No, this is what I promise to God now. And that's a strong cause right there. I can fail for myself. I've failed for myself. I've failed, trying to be myself. And, people fail all the time. But to fail for God, to fail God, that has a much stronger motivation, a much stronger and deeper meaning. Now again, I'll talk about this during Lent. I'll have a couple little religious stories and whatnot. Just because you failed once doesn't mean you're a complete failure in God's eyes, though. We'll get into this in a longer one, but if you suffer for, 5 days a week and then you give up on day 6, those 5 days aren't wasted. And that day 6 doesn't mean you failed. We'll talk more about that as Lent goes on. I've got a couple little topics planned coming up, I'm sure. But until then, folks, I'm enjoying my last non-video cigar. I'm going to enjoy some very bizarre Puchki vodka. Because tomorrow, when this video drops, when you guys watch this video, in our family and in the Catholic tradition, we kick off with a fast. So I'll have one meal tomorrow. We abstain, so no meat on Wednesdays. And then starts all the asceticisms, all the resolutions, all the promises I make to God, the sacrifices I do for Him, or the sacrifices I know need to be done. And I'm excited. Will I fail? Yeah, probably. Will I get back up? I hope so. But that's great. Getting to heaven is not a destination while we're alive. It's a journey. We need to keep walking forward, and one day we'll make it. Hopefully, God willing, and with God's help, of course. Anyway, folks, get ready. Monday's video will be less serious. Monday's video will be talking about the Freestyle Live. You get to see what this is all about, why I have this cool new lighter, which is cold now, so it won't light. Oh, there it goes. Yay, propane. Or butane. But then after that, don't be surprised if you see more than a little bit of religious videos until Easter hits. So anyway, I'm going to enjoy my Fat Tuesday. Prost. Cheers. Terrible sex. Whatever language you want to use. I hope you guys are planning some great sacrifices for these next 40 days. And remember, Sunday's day of rest. Anyway, folks, hope you're having a good one. Stay safe out there. We'll see you on the next one.